We are merely seconds away from the end of the tunnel. We have learned all of it but one thing. There's only one more thing that we need to remember and consider. And number 15 is going to help us figure that out. So, that being said, let's dig in. Notice here that all parts of the inequality have variables. When that happens, we are going to have to rewrite this using and to be able to solve it. So let's go ahead and look at how to separate it. So this right here, well, it would be helpful if I had my handy dandy pen. Okay, there we go. Now we're talking. All right, so this right here says that 4b plus 18 is less than or equal to negative 12b minus 14. We also have another statement. The other statement is that negative 12b minus 14 is less than or equal to 14 minus 5b. So this little model here is going to help us see how to break it up. So our first inequality that we'll be solving will be 4b plus 18 is less than or equal to negative 12b minus 14. Since it's written together, let's not forget that this is a and. And we're going to be going all the way into the other problem, so just don't actually cross it out. Just ignore that for now. For me to be able to write, I need more space. And looking at that purple portion, negative 12b minus 14 is less than or equal to 14 minus 5b. So if you ever have variables anywhere other than that shared center expression, you need to separate it to be able to solve it. All right, so let's dig in. So first things first, we need to get b by itself. And it does not matter which side we move it to. I'll show you how to put it all back together at the end. Honestly, the only thing you really need to keep in mind is maybe you don't want a negative coefficient, so then you don't divide by negative and you don't have to remember to flip it. That's the only thing that you might want to use as kind of like your guidelines. Okay, so I'm going to add 12b to both sides because I need to isolate my variable on one side of the inequality. So that gives me 16b plus 18 is less than or equal to negative 14. Now I need to isolate the variable term by moving the constant to the constant on the other side, giving me 16b is less than or equal to negative 32. Divide both sides by 16, and we end up with b is less than or equal to negative 2. But remember, this is a compound inequality. We've only solved one of the conditions of our and statement. So let's move on over and look at the other one. So I'm going to add 12b to both sides this time just to get that positive coefficient. If you wanted to add 5b, you wouldn't be wrong. So now we have negative 14 is less than or equal to 14 plus 7b, just using integer rules. Move our constant to isolate our variable term. We end up with negative 28 is less than or equal to 7b. Lastly, divide to isolate the variable completely. We end up with negative 4 is less than or equal to b. So these are our two conditions. B has to be less than or equal to negative 2, and b has to be greater than or equal to negative 4. So for our final solution, we need to figure out how to rewrite those together as our final compound inequality. Remember, b is going to be in the middle, And whatever we're greater than or equal to is, or just greater, it needs to go on the other side. So it's going to be greater than or equal to -2. Just kidding. Well, let's get that eraser. I'm sorry about that. All right. So right here we can see that b is greater than or equal to -4. And over here, b is less than or equal to -2. So we separated it to solve it. You can see that up here, even though we've had to scroll a bunch. And then once we're done solving, we bring it back together. I know that's a lot. That is the trickiest it'll get besides some of those weird graphs that we talked